Well, my introduction to Indian instruments was in like 2000, 2001, somewhere in there. I took a course called Music of Asia and learned about uh, a whole lot of different instruments that I'd never seen and different musical contexts. And that just kind of like led to exploration. And then somehow, I don't know, by 2002 or so, I had a harmonium in my apartment, and then another came after that. And then, the true story of the beginning of Old Delhi Music is our son, our first son, who Mike knows pretty well, who's an awesome kid. He is 11-year-old now, but he was on the way, and I was in that like freak out moment of becoming a dad, and I'd been like, just playing music and working, and didn't really have my whole occupational life figured out. And my wife and I had performed a lot with music, and she played harmonium often, and everybody always asked what that thing was that they'd never seen before and where they could get one. And it was like most nights, most cities, in anywhere we'd be, that was a question that we'd get. So I used to refer people actually to one of the shops we bought one from was Keshav Music in New York City. I told Keshav this story one time that he was closed on Mondays, and we were in New York. We had a show the prior night on Sunday, and I wanted to go to his shop, and he was closed. And actually, it was like because he was closed, and I was like, "This is the guy I refer everyone to, and he's not even here." So then I had the idea. I was like, I should try to import some of these. Maybe that's a way we can make a little bit of extra money on the side. And I thought it would be this like simple thing and a small thing, but it's actually become like, the biggest thing aside from my children. I would say this is like the other children, or the other thing that was birthed in that time of our life. So
Yeah, I got to tell you, I love that story. I'd never heard that story about Keshav before, and I
yeah.
have a Keshav story as well, which is that I bought my first harmonium from him in 2006, and I thought it was awesome. And by 2007, it seemed to kind of be falling apart, and I didn't know anywhere I could get a harmonium repair person. So I thought, well, I'll order another one from him. And so I ordered another one from him, and I didn't like it. And I told him I didn't like it, and he basically told me in his New York City sort of way to go go jump in a river, you know. Harmonium's fine. And I got really miffed, so I thought I gotta find some other places to buy harmoniums. I want a little competition in the market. So I think that may have been one of the things that led me to you.
Mm, yeah. Well, I don't know. The funny thing that I discovered in this industry, I have that like Midwestern sentiment where, I don't know, something about Grandpa's farm and uh, all my entrepreneurial experiences growing up and whatever. I think it's culminated into we probably do more than is necessary, but it's fun to do good work for people, and that's just kind of the spirit of how we work. So I know everyone's always like, "You're in the Midwest? That's the weirdest thing ever. Why would harmoniums in the Midwest?" And it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, pretty hardworking people. Like
Well,
it's not a simple job. So
let,
yeah.
let me let me ask a question. So here you are, and Keshav's closed on Mondays, and you get this idea.
Yeah.
You think, I should do this, and you start getting going, and you open Old Delhi Music, and you start distributing harmoniums, just like this regular old harmoniums that everyone had from India. Is that right?
The first harmoniums that we got, and it was a variety of instruments that I imported because my interest wasn't exclusive to harmoniums necessarily. Harmoniums have become the biggest thing that I kind of have, you know, dove deep into, and now, know a lot about. But ordered just, a variety of instruments. The harmoniums in particular were like deeply disappointing, but I had like, taken, it was like my tax return from that year plus a little bit of savings was how we started things off. And I wasn't just going to throw that away. So and the instruments, so I started, messing with each one, manipulating it until I was like, okay, it sounds good now. It's functioning properly. And that was like the beginning of the learning. And I also, just to give Keshav some credit, I called him up and I was like, told him what I was dealing with and whatever. And he was actually very helpful to me. So, yeah, I think that it was just kind of the start of some learning. We worked through that stuff, and I was like, yeah, I'll try it again. And I've just kind of been learning ever since. And started traveling to India to make deeper connections, and that's led to now having our own site there where we build all of our stuff exclusively and having more control over the design. And yeah, it's way more complicated and involved than I ever dreamed it would be. It wasn't, I don't know if anyone like thinks like, oh, this seems like a great business idea. I'm sure that will work out. So I also didn't ever have that thought. It just kind of, people like all of you continue to give me and now us the work, and we're grateful and just trying to do the best we can. So
let me ask a question. So I think you skipped something important there, because somewhere along the line, you decided that you could build a better harmonium. And that's where the Bava brand was birthed, yeah?
So I didn't exactly decide that I could build a better harmonium. The first thing that happened was I got a sample of a harmonium from a guy that I'd never heard of. And that inspired me to say, could you do something like this of the same quality as what you showed me? And we started working on some design stuff together now. And that was the original. I don't know that I'm really like that savvy of a business person. I'd never heard of like white labeling or any of these things that are, I guess very common. So stores developing their own brands and stuff like that. But I decided that rather than trying to promote a product no one had ever heard of from this guy, that I would just create a brand identity for the product. And then maybe I could work with him, and maybe I could work with some other people, and we could curate our own kind of, and basically just the concept was what he sent me was better than other things that I was selling that were brand name kind of products. And I thought that we could maybe be more creative working with him. And then eventually we worked with others, and now we have a staff of our own. We have currently on payroll 18 people in Dwarka in our shop making harmoniums to kind of basically match all the things that we've wanted to see, along with all the things that customers have told us for years that they'd like to see. We're just kind of trying to develop those things.
Yeah. Well, I think I must have got my first Baba Mini around 2014, something like that. And
yeah, 2013, 2014 is when we started that. And yeah, I remember, it's funny, you have these certain moments in your life that you can remember. I remember at my old house on Washington Street, which I don't know if you visited me there. I think you might have, but the front yard kind of garden space, I was sitting out there, I think watering plants, and phone rang, and I was chatting with Mike Cohen for the first time. And then you're the person who told me about Bhakti Fest and got us coming to Bhakti Fest and those kind of things. So
yeah. So I got a Bava Mini and I loved it, and it really opened my playing up. It really gave me a lot different orientation towards the harmonium. I started moving my fingers around a lot because I was playing chords primarily before that. So, and then I noticed all these other, touring and recording kirtan artists were playing bhavas, and they got pretty popular.